Welcome to Family Cooking with Cheshire Young Carers. My name is Sarah and today we're going to be making an easy no yeast pizza. First thing I'm going to do is pop on my apron and then I'm going to tie up my hair. It's really important that we tie up any long hair out of the way. Then I'm going to wash my hands with warm soapy water. Okay, just dry them off. So today we're making easy no yeast pizza and I've got all my ingredients on the top ready. Dry off my hands. The first thing I'm going to do though is pop my oven on to warm. So you might want to ask an adult for help with this bit. So you need to warm the oven to 200 degrees. So my oven is warming up, ready for us to pop our pizzas in. The next thing we're going to do is going to make the sauce for our pizza. I'm just going to wash my hand because I've washed my ear. So first things first, we need 400 grams of chopped tomatoes. Go. Spoon to open that with. Now the lids of these can be really sharp, so I'm going to pop mine straight in the bin. Again, you might want to ask an adult to help you with that. And we need a saucepan because we're going to make the sauce. So because we're going to be using the top of the oven, make sure you ask your grown-up to help. I'm going to move my pizza tray over there out of the way for later. So pop this on a low heat. So I'm going to put my tomatoes in my pan. Now, whether you recycle or not is up to you, so I do, so I'm going to pop my tin ready for washing up, which reminds me I'm going to run my washing up water ready because I like to wash up as I go along. So you need some warm water, washing up liquid, warm water, lots of water on the go. So I leave that to run and just dry my hands. So we need the 400 grams of chopped tomatoes in there. We need a teaspoon of dried mixed herbs. So you can use a regular teaspoon, or if you've got some of the measuring spoons, they're also really good. So into my saucepan, I'm going to add my teaspoon of mixed herbs. That goes in. I'm not going to mix it up just yet because I want to grate in my garlic. So the next thing we need is a garlic clove. You only need one. The best way to do this is to peel and just pull it out like that. Now you will need to use a knife on this bit, so again, ask an adult to help you with that. You only need a small knife and I'm just going to chop. So I'm just going to chop the bottom of my garlic and the top bit off. You need to make sure you peel it as well. Luckily mine did peel when I just took it out there. So take off my top, my bottom, and you'll find good. So now I'm going to get a bowl to put my food waste in rather than get my food waste in out. And then just peel. Good. Ready to grate. We're going to grate it, so you need a little grater. Like I said, if you're using a knife, you need to use an adult. Ask an adult to help you. If you don't have fresh garlic, you can always use garlic granules, garlic powder. You don't have to use fresh garlic. One, because it's very fiddly. So, let me get my grater. to grate my garlic. Use the fine side of the grater just to grate it into my pan. Now, again, if you've not done this before, you can always ask an adult to help you. So grate it over. Obviously watch your fingers as it gets a little bit smaller. This is where you ask your adult to help you. So I'm going to pop that little bit in my food waste bowl. I'm going to use my spoon that I use to measure out with, just to, I don't want to wait for me. Then I'm going to get a wooden spoon. What I am going to do here is just rinse my hands. So you've got your washing out water. Pop my grater in there because I don't need it now. Just rinse my hands, dry them off. Any bits of waste. Get my wooden spoon. And we're going to heat this up. So I'm going to pop it just on a very low heat to simmer. And give it a little bit of a stir. Okay, so next we need to add in a little bit of caster sugar. It says 2 pinches of caster sugar. Now I only have golden caster sugar, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to use a little spoon. You don't need a lot, just about that much, otherwise it makes it too sweet. And it's simmering away nicely on the stove. So we're going to simmer it gently for about 10 minutes on our heat. So if we keep stirring it, it won't stick on the bottom. What you don't want to do here is boil it, because it will burn. It should get thicker as it cooks. Heating up quite nicely. It should be getting thicker now. It's not going to get really thick, but it should be getting a lot thicker as it heats up. It smells delicious already, and we haven't even got to the main part. So you can see the steam coming from my saucepan, which is heating up nicely. If I stop stirring, it's not boiling because you can't see it bubbling, so that's good, that's what we want. So the next thing we're going to do is going to be making our dough, what this calls. Now it's started to boil, I'm going to take it off the heat. So I'm going to turn off my hob. Make sure again, if you need to ask an adult to help you with that, that you do. And I'm going to set this to cool, so I'm going to put it at the back, not forgetting that my hob is still going to be warm. So once you've taken it off the heat, which I'm going to pop it over here on my tray, you need to add in some salt and some pepper, just to season. A bit of salt and just a tiny bit of pepper. Now I'm going to give this a little taste. But what you don't want to do is use the spoon in there. So I use a little teaspoon I'm going to get a bit off the side of the pan, just to see, it's a good idea to taste, see if you need any more salt and pepper. Now don't forget it's hot. Tastes good. Never put your spoon back into your pan, so what I suggest is that goes now in the sink. You can wash that up. Now I'm going to leave that here to cool. I've got it on a mat, on a piece of slate actually. Don't forget the pan is hot, so I'm going to hop that out the way to cool while we make our dough. To make the dough we need our flour, so we need 300 grams of self-raising flour. So I'm just going to get my bowl, my scales. So I'm going to use my scales. We need 300 grams. We haven't finished with this yet, which is why I'm not going to put it away. We need some custard, so I'm just going to pop it back there, and that goes into your big bowl. Okay, my bowl is going to go back on there. Make sure it goes back to 0. So next thing we need is our baking powder. And we need a teaspoon of that again. Another teaspoon. So that's one of your small ones. And a nice level of baking powder that goes in as well. So we need half a teaspoon of salt, but I'm just going to grab So I'm going to use, if I've got another wooden spoon. Actually, but these are 4. So I'm just going to mix these dry ingredients together. Then you need to make a well in the middle, which means make a little hole. You can do that with your finger. So make a little hole in the middle of your flour. And in there we're going to add the yogurt. Now we need 300 grams of natural yogurt. I'm going to put this in with a spoon. I'm going to pop this straight in the bin. It's a pedal bin, so okay, so that goes in to the well in the centre. And I'm going to use the fork we used before to combine it together. So we need to stir it together. Mine's just a touch dry. So I'm going to use a little bit of water just to combine it together. Add a little bit at a time. It should really just help. You can see it coming together slowly. More. The sauce is cooling quite nicely by the side of us. I'm going to add a tiny little bit more water to mine. This looks a bit dry. There we go. That's better. So it should all now come together like this. Before we tip it out onto the top, I'm going to give my worktop a good clean. So I'm going to move this out of the way because I'm going to do it here. So, because we prepared some hot soapy water, you can use that to wipe over your top. because we're going to now need our dough. Just going to check my sauce while I wait for that to dry. Okay, this should be dry now, so we need to use a little bit of flour. Sprinkle some onto my worktop. And then just at the back, you might need some more. So, it's easy if you flour your hands before you get it out. As you can see, mine's quite sticky because I did add a little bit of extra water. So, now we need to knead it a little bit. So when you knead, you push with the palm of your hand, you push it away, you pull it back. So you want to do this until it's nice and smooth. And as you can see, it's now stopped sticking to my hands. The beauty of this dough is because there's no yeast, you don't have to leave it to rise. So I'm going to form into a ball, and you need to cut it into 4 equal pieces. So this is where you might need an adult to help you with the knife. I'm just going to wash my hands. So you turn it into 4, otherwise, or you can make one big pizza. So I'm just going to use a butter knife. Again, ask an adult to help, and we need to cut it into 4 equal bits. So cut it in half. To roll out into thin circles. So I'm just going to put my other 4, I'll put them actually into circles. So I'll put the flour because I need a little bit more. I like to turn mine over so that they don't stick. You can roll them as big as they'll go. Have quite a thin crust if you want a thin crust. You can have a thick base if you want a thick base. This bit's up to you. As you can see, it's springing back. It's the gluten working in the flour. So that's as thin as I'm going to go on here. So now ask an adult to help you take your baking tray, pop your base on it. Pop your base on the tray. I've got a pizza tray, but you don't have to use a pizza tray if you haven't got one. And I'm going to use a spoon, a small spoon, to put some of the sauce we made earlier onto my base. Try not to put it too close to the edges because then they will burn. Let me move this over because I can see. So it's small. I'm going to take the chunks out because I don't like tomato. You don't have to use a tomato base when you make pizzas. You can use barbecue sauce, sweet chili sauce, depends what you like. The next thing we're going to do is pop our mozzarella on. So I've gone with mozzarella cheese. Into my little bowl. Generous. You can also add other toppings on if you want to. I'm going to put some ham. Yeah. These. And I'm just going to tear it and you can use salami, pineapple, sweet corn. If you want to add a bit more cheese on the top, then you can. I'll just drop a little bit more, just so it doesn't burn my hand. Just a small sprinkling of mixed herbs. I'm going to put them in my hand because the holes are quite big. My pizza ready to go into my oven. Obviously ask an adult to help you do that. Check my pizza. Don't forget to use your oven gloves. Ask an adult to help you when you're using the oven. This looks delicious. Get a plate. Use your fish slice to help me slide it off. And there we have it, our easy no yeast pizza, ready to enjoy. See you next week for more family cooking.